Hi Rachel, can you hear me? Um, we are back, hopefully. It says it's recording. Yep, can hear me. Okay, you should be able to see my ScanNCut screen. I put my hand in, so just because Jamila said she thought we were frozen, but we shouldn't be frozen. I can see all the messages coming up again now. So Rachel's saying hi. Yep, can hear me. Hello from Kingman, Arizona. Carmen saying hi. Hi, yes, I can hear you, but screen is frozen. What do you mean the screen's frozen? Nothing's happening at the moment. You should just be able to see my ScanNCut screen. Carol's saying hello. Vicky, hi Vicky. Vicky's saying missed the first part but just caught the very end. So for anybody that's just jumping on, this is part 2. Part 1 I was showing you how to use the print and cut facility in Canvas Workspace, and I was explaining the difference between the sticker kit and the print to cut function. And now I've had to come into a different part of my house, so I'm actually in my craft room now, which is where my ScanNCut is, and rather than be walking from one part through to another with all my paraphernalia that's needed, I ended part 1 and I've come back on. So you literally should be able to see my screen. So what I'm going to do now, just excuse me a minute. So I've come into my office and the printout that I sent over was in my printer. Okay, so I've got, not sure if you're going to see this, need to find a camera, there you go. So this is the printout that I sent over. This is just copy paper, that because obviously that is all that was in my printer. But you can see my little image. You can see the 2 registration marks at the top of my A4 piece of paper and the 2 at the bottom. Okay, so I've not done anything with that other than take it out of the printer. So Rachel's saying, hi JK, what a great Sunday with Ashley and friends. Donna's saying, made it. It's good now. Part 1 is a must watch. It was wonderful. Jamila's saying, oh, thank you. Hi Bonnie. I have got Sooty and Sweet both purring at my side. Well, literally, as I was coming out of like next door to come back in here, I've literally give Eddie his food and some water, and as I step foot on the drive, because I have to come out of one part and come into another, it's too complicated, Hannah's come home, so at least he's got Hannah for company now. Right, so basically I've switched the ScanNCut machine on, that's as far as I got, and I took the printout off the printer. So you come to retrieve data. I'm retrieving it from Canvas because that's where I made the file, and hopefully our cut image should be retrieved. So there it is on the screen. Let me see if I can zoom in a bit more. Okay, can you all see that? I'm trying to zoom in as much as I can. So there's the cut element of the print and cut, okay? So now I could save this into the machine. So as I was saying before, the beauty of print and cut is once you've saved your print file with its registration marks, you could come back to this in a year's time and just reprint it, and you could save the cut, you know, you've made a cut file, so you wouldn't have to mess about scanning and all that kind of thing. So I'll see if there are any more comments in a minute, but I'm kind of looking in like 3 different directions now at the moment. So I'm not going to save this, but you could save it if you wanted to. You could save it into the machine. I'm just going to say OK. So now it says to you, Please attach the material printed with the registration marks on the mat. Make sure that the lines, then you scroll down, of the registration marks are facing the machine when you're sending the mat through. So when I was saying to you before, when I was showing you in Canvas Workspace, you've got these bullseye kind of designs, one in each corner, and you've got a horizontal line. Your printout has got to go on your mat with those in that orientation. You can't put it in that way, so you can't turn it round. You know, you can't print it out portrait. Sorry, I'm too close to the camera now. And then put it on the mat landscape. Okay, it's got to go in with those horizontal lines being horizontal, not vertical. Okay, so I've got a mat. So I'm just gonna, this is a low tack mat, but it has, and it's gonna load wonky. So give me 1 minute. Let's just, I had to throw, was somebody asking about a mat loading wonky last week, and I said it hadn't happened to me. It started happening to me this week. I've had to throw one of my regular standard mats away because it was loading wonky. It looks as though this one's going to do the same. So I don't know whether it's my machine or whether it's my mats are getting old. So let me find another, old mat and see what happens. Let's try this one. Sorry about the noise. So let's try this one, see if this one goes in. Okay, so this is just a regular mat now, which I know you can't see at the moment, but it is there. So I'm going to, I need about 3 hands to do this. Let me zoom out a bit. I'm just going to angle you down. Okay, so this is the printout that came out of the printer. Now, when we made this in Canvas Workspace, the A4 mat that we made on the artboard was up in this top left hand corner, but I'm just going to put this kind of in the middle. And the whole idea, my understanding of this is, of having these registration marks is so that the ScanNCut will scan these registration marks, and it will then know that this cut line is here, hopefully, and not over here where we actually made the cut file, if that makes sense. That's how it should work in theory, but you know, this is alive and things go wrong. It could end up cutting completely wrong, but who knows. So I'm going to say okay to all that. Now there's a box up here, let's have a look. Scan 4 corners of the registration mark and align a cutting data and printed object. Okay, start. I don't think you have to choose that box. I think we could have just hit OK and cut, but you know, I think it's kind of I think it's like a preview box. It's telling you what to do. It's kind of talking you through what to do. And you didn't even see that, did you? Now I've just realised because I'm pointing down. I'll show you again in a minute. So let's just move. Okay, can you see this box here? I don't think you need to touch it. I could have gone straight to select. In fact, let's undo it and do it again. So let's unload the mat and start again so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So there's my printed, there's my cut file, okay, that I got from Retrieve Data. I load the mat that's got the printout on it. And then you can go to select and work your way through, or I hit that button, but basically it doesn't really tell you anything. It's just telling you what's going to happen, and it says press the start key. So it's going to scan the mat. Now it's not scanning the little pink character. It's scanning to see where the registration marks are, because obviously the cut line is already around this. If you were using the sticker kit and you'd printed this little pink character, you would have printed this, you won't have registration marks on your paper, and you will be scanning, like using direct cut or ScanNCut data, because you will then have to physically get the machine to put the line around it. We've already got the outline. So basically all as that scan was for then is to find out where the registration marks are. So it's picked up my printable. You can see my 4 registration marks. So hopefully now when we select cut, it should know that this piece of paper is not kind of positioned in the top left hand corner where we made it in Canvas Workspace. If that makes sense, it should know where it is on the map. So we'll say cut, and this is only copy paper, so you know this might not be the best of cuts, but it's just to show you the principle. So I'll say start, and then I'll have a look and see if there are any comments, because I know Jamila said this was the bit that she was unsure how to do. Oh, it wasn't you, Rachel, that said about mats. Okay. Somebody mentioned about mats going wonky, and I said no, it hadn't happened to me, and then blow me, it started happening to me. Funnily enough, when I came in to test this print and cut the other day, I've only done the print and cut once. I'll show it you in a minute. It's this same image that the lady sent me, but bigger, and I just wanted to see if it worked. And my flipping mat kept going wonky, so I had to use a different mat. Okay, so it has cut it in the right place. So let me angle you down before I take it out so you know I'm not fibbing. So there it is, and it has caught the paper, but again, as I say, this is copy paper on a regular mat that's been restuck, so it's quite sticky. You know, so it's obviously not going to be the best cut. But can you let me peel it away so you can see? So it's cut it on its outside edge. Now before I take it off, I just want to say one thing. I want to go back to the screen. Let's just go back. So let's say OK, and let's go back. So when we retrieve data from Canvas, and we've got our little cut figure here, and we say OK and OK. Can we can't do it from there, so let's go home. Let's just try something different. So we'll go retrieve data from Canvas, and we'll save it into the machine. I just want to see if we can add an offset. So it says it's saved. So if I say OK and OK, it's still not giving me any edit facility. So if we go home and OK to cancel. So we'll go retrieve data from the machine. I'll jump to the last page, find my little print and cut, and I don't know if you noticed, but it had the little print and cut symbol, and say OK, OK. It's not giving me any option to add an offset, so it's literally going to cut on the outside line by the look of it. Yeah, so there's no option to add an offset. So if you wanted to add an offset, you're probably going to have to, let's think, how would you do it? You have to do it separately. You may have to do it in Canvas. Let's see, so from the machine. I'm just playing with this now, sorry, because as I say, I've not tried it myself, so you know, I'm learning with you. Okay, yeah, so there's no way of adding an offset. So if you wanted to cut wider, so you don't, if you know, this is literally cut on the outside. Let's wind you down again. It's literally cut on the outside edge. If you wanted like a white border around it, like when we had an offset, you know, around stamped images and things, you'd probably have to do that when you were in Canvas Workspace. So once you've done the auto trace, and you've got the cut file on your mat, where I was showing you how to edit, I'm almost positive you'd be able to add an offset there, make the offset a little bit bigger. So, you know, say add a 0.04 offset, and that way then it would cut around this and leave a little white border, but it depends what you want. So let's just take this off. Scoop this off the mat, and that's just the bit where it's where the blade caught. So let me just cut that little bit off. You know, sometimes when your blade just like gnarls up your paper, but basically there is the little character. So that was all done from bringing in a design into Canvas Workspace, letting the machine put the outline around it, saving it as a printable PDF with registration marks, and then saving it as a cut file. So just to recap, let's get rid of all that. So you've saved it as a PDF print file, and you've printed that off, and then you do the export FCM file. So once you switch your machine on, you come straight to retrieve data. So you retrieve data from wherever you've sent it from. So in our case it was Canvas, and it will bring your cut file up. If you want to save it, you know, at this point you go to save like I just did and save it to the machine. Or if you don't want to save your cut file, oh sorry, you didn't even see any of that, did you? Sorry, let's start again. Shows you I'm out of practice coming backwards and forwards into two different rooms. So before you do anything, you just get your printout out of your printer and you come straight to retrieve data. You're retrieving the data from Canvas Workspace because that's where we made the print to cut file, and the last thing that you saved and sent over will show up. So if you're making a couple of files, you can only send one over at once and retrieve it. As I say, you can save it into the machine if you want to at this point. I didn't originally, did I? But then I went back and saved it. It tells you, make sure that your registration marks are going into the mat this way. You say OK, you go to select and cut, and that's it. So let's just move you down again just to keep you on that, and then I'll come back over here and see what we've got to say. So I cleaned the rollers, Vicky, funnily enough. I cleaned all the rollers, I cleaned all the mats front and back, and it was doing it with a different, not this mat I've just used, but another regular mat. So I ended up throwing it away thinking I just can't deal with it. But I did use my low tack mat, because as I say, I've printed this thing out once and that's all. That's the only time I've had to play with print and cut. I'm trying to find what I've done with it. It's in here somewhere, just give me a minute. So here is the one I did. This is what the lady sent me, and I made it a bit smaller. But with this one, what I did, I scanned this one through first, and then I added the offset. But if you just use the print to cut facility as it is, there doesn't seem to be a way to add an offset when you retrieve the file. So you'd probably have to do that in Canvas. But when I cut the bigger one, I used my low tack mat and that loaded fine. So I don't actually know if it's, you know, the start of a problem with my machine. Because as I say, I thought it was loading the mats fine, but then it just wouldn't load that one right. So I'm not too sure. I'm going to have to speak to makers, I think, about it. Right, let's just see. Have you got something stuck on the rollers? I have 3 mats. Excuse me. One won't load, but I force it to one take several tries, and the others load first. I just manhandle it till they load. Donna's saying, you made it back. I did not get this far. I was lost on how to print it. Okay, so basically, Jamila, once you save the PDF in Canvas Workspace, that's when you just open that PDF on your computer and you print it, okay? And then to get the cut element of that file, you've got to come to your ScanNCut machine and do retrieve data, and it will bring up that cut file. And then the whole idea of having the registration marks is that wherever you put this piece of paper with the registration marks on your mat, irrespective of where this was when you made it in Canvas, because when we made it, this A4 piece of paper was kind of up here, wasn't it, in the top left hand corner. You know, if you imagine this is the Canvas Workspace screen with the 12 by 12 mat, the A4 piece of paper, if you like, or area was kind of positioned top left, and that was where we made the design. But the whole idea of having these registration marks is that you can put this anywhere on your mat, so long as these registration marks are the right way up. You can't turn them like that. They can't be vertical because the machine won't be able to read it. So you can then position this anywhere on your mat, and it sends the mat through, and it's not scanning the image to then be able to put an outline. It's scanning, just looking for these 4 registration marks, and because it knows then where those registration marks are, it knows then where to cut that design. So I hope that makes sense. So Gloria is saying, can you use an offset? So I've just answered that question. It doesn't look like you can put an offset on it on your machine once you've sent it over, but you could do it in Canvas Workspace. Having said that, I did that with the bigger one, but the way I did this one, I put the design, the whole piece of paper on the mat, and I scanned the mat first without retrieving the data. So I suppose, you know, there's ways around it. Can't actually remember how I did it, to be honest. Let's just see if I can work out how I did it. If I put that back on there, so this is the bigger one, and if I stick that back in there, I mean, this didn't cut perfectly, but it's because it's copy paper on a, you know, sticky mat. I'm trying to work out how I did it. Can't actually remember how I did this with the offset the other day. What did I do? Did I just scan it? Maybe I just did scan, direct cut, machine, start. Let's see what happens. But I won't have the cut file for this, I don't think, unless I saved it into the machine. Let's have a look and see. I think you'd have to add the offset in Canvas Workspace. So that's scan the whole mat. So if we say OK, I honestly can't remember how I did that, unless I did do the offset in Canvas Workspace. I can't remember. But it doesn't look, when you go to retrieve data, it doesn't look as though there's any option to add. Let's try and cancel that. Cancel that. Let's hit the home button. Okay. So we just go to retrieve data, bring in the file that we made in Canvas Workspace. So there's no option when you say OK and OK. There's no option to add an offset. The only option is to like make your background darker or smaller. It just goes straight to cut or draw. So I think looking at it, you've got to do it in Canvas Workspace. Fab, I need to try now. Can go back and watch these 2 lives, thanks. Yeah, what I'll do, when I go back to my computer in a few minutes, I'll use the same thumbnail, but I'll alter them to say part 1 and part 2. So Jamila's saying, wow, that's fabulous. Ashley, if you wanted it to be a sticker, would you do half cut? Yes, you would. Yeah, so if you're using sticker paper, Just do exactly the same, do everything the same as I've just shown you in part 1 and part 2, but do half cut, yeah. And if you've got an SDX machine, you go into the wrench setting and you turn half cut on. If you've got a CM machine, you'll have to just, you know, fiddle about with the cut pressure and the blade depth, okay? So just like you were doing vinyl, basically, yeah. Barbara's saying, looks like I have to buy an add-on. Well, if you've not got either of them, Barbara, if you've not got the sticker kit or the print to cut, I personally would go for the print to cut. Does there really seem a point to getting this program then? If you've not got the sticker kit, Jamila, then I would get the print to cut. If you've got the sticker kit, it's just a bit more work, isn't it? Because with the sticker kit, although you can bring in images, they're going to be smaller than the images that you can use with the sticker kit, with the print to cut. You can still print them as a PDF, but you've then got to scan that through your ScanNCut machine and hope that the ScanNCut machine puts a decent outline around it. And if it doesn't, you'll have to get the outline, and providing it gives you some kind of an outline, you'd then have to save the file back to Canvas Workspace and clean it up. So to me, I think the print to cut is better than the sticker kit. And you can make stickers with the print to cut. So, you know, if somebody's got none of them, then I would say the print to cut is probably better. Just think it's a bit easier, because once you bring the image in Canvas Workspace and do that auto trace, it puts that outline there for you automatically. And as we discovered while we were playing tonight, you can then still edit the nodes on that outline before you send it to your machine. So I think the print to cut is probably a bit more versatile. Where can I see part 1 of what you did? So here on my YouTube channel, Connie, go to the live playlist and you'll find tonight's live with today's date, the 19th of December. It doesn't say part 1 because I wasn't expecting to be doing a part 2. It just says today's date, Canvas Workspace, print to cut. But when I go back into my office in a minute, I'll change that to part 1, and then I'll when this one's uploading, I'll make this one part 2. Okay. You can add an offset when you use Scan to Direct Cut. Yeah, you could. Yeah, maybe that's what I did with the big one the other day. I can't remember how I got the outline on this big one. But you could do it while you were in Canvas Workspace once you've done the auto trace, because it puts that outline there for you. You just ungroup it and just make the cut line, say 0.04. So it cuts with a white border around it, but not everybody wants the white border. Some people want it to literally just cut, you know, on the black line or whatever colour line you're using. I'll look into the print and cut, Barbara's saying. Thank you so much for tonight. Wishing you, Hannah and Eddie, a lovely Christmas. Oh yes, same to you, Rachel. Thank you. I already have both. That's me wanting everything my machine can do. Well, I've got both, Jamila. I've got the sticker kit and I've now got the print to cut. But, you know, if somebody didn't have any of them, then I think I would personally say go for print to cut, because it's easier, I find, to work in Canvas. And you saw how easy it was for it to put the outline around it. So, look out for my comments next weekend. Rachel's saying Merry Christmas. Right, so that's it. So I am going to say good night now. I'm going to end this. I'm going to go back to my computer and I'll make sure that these are clearly marked with today's date and part 1 and part 2. And then anybody that came in late or hasn't seen part 1 can, you know, watch both parts. But basically that's the print to cut function. I got mine when it was on offer, so I think it was $19.99. I think it's normally about £24-25 from Makers Superstore, but they had a code. That's the only reason I bought it, because you were talking about it a couple of weeks ago and somebody said it was on offer. Might have been Jamila. So when I went off the live that night, I went and bought it and I got it with the discount. So I think it's worth having, you know, especially if you want to, if you do a lot of printing that you then want to cut. I think it's worth it. And as I say, for anybody that's not got either the sticker kit or the printer cut is probably your better option if you only want to buy one. But I've had the sticker kit for ages. So, I mean, I had the sticker kit when I had my CM machine. So, and to be fair, I don't really use it that much. But this is a lot easier and quicker to use, I think. Have a lovely Christmas, everyone. Thanks, Ashley, for all your help you've given us. Have a well-earned Christmas holiday. Oh, thank you. Saying snow next week. I know. Merry Christmas. Thanks so much for another year, Ashley. Take care. Yeah, and you, Barbara. Thank you. Yeah, everybody. Does printer cut work with a CM? No. That was the other thing I said in part one, Vicky. I kind of went through what the you know, fors and against are. The printer cut only works with a auto blade machine, but the sticker kit works with the CM and the auto blade machines. So that's another kind of factor to factor in. Right, I'm going to go. So as I say, don't think I'll be here next Sunday because we're meant to be going out. Having said that, if we're deep in snow and we can't get out, then I might be here, and it might literally just be having a coffee and a chat. I honestly don't know. But as I said earlier, you know, for anybody that has only just tuned in, have a lovely Christmas or holiday time, whatever it is you're doing, you know, whether you do Christmas or not, just have a nice, peaceful time, stay safe, and hopefully I will talk to you all soon. JD Cougar saying, thank you so much, Ashley and friends. Happy holiday season to everyone. Yeah, may we all have a blessed Christmas. Yeah, perfectly well said, JD Cougar. Thank you. Right, I'm going to go now, guys, and I'm going to go and get something to eat. So I'll see you all soon.